closing the gap is really heart and soul and center core function of Jazz House Kids. So we want to close the gap in terms of kids having access to programming with tuition assistance. We want to close the gap in schools where music is being eradicated by providing high quality arts programming. We want to close the gap for a kid sitting on the sidelines who wants to be involved in their music program but doesn't have an instrument. Some of these things are really basic, and I feel that they're their basic rights to be able to be involved in music and have a creative life. One of the things that we find when we're in schools is that at that elementary, fourth, fifth, and certainly going into middle school, you'll see all these young girls. But as they continue through junior high, and certainly in their jazz band and in high school, we see a really dramatic falling off of the number of girls, particularly playing instruments. As a vocalist, we see many girls out there singing, and that's really exciting, and that's why we have the Vocal Academy. But you can see it in the bands. You can see it in any festival roster. There's just not enough girls. And so I've made it kind of my personal ambition to work at changing that. And we started a program called Chica Power. And, girls from 8 to even our college students who come back as teaching assistants and our females are part of this program. And we bring in all the musicians and female musicians that we can find to come in and mentor them and to speak to them, to kind of celebrate who they are as young women, and also celebrate that there is a story that they should tell, and there's a place for them. So we offer, through the month of Women's History Month, a free program that happens on Sundays, and it's at 2 different levels. And we invite all girls we can get our hands on to come out and be a part of that program. Also during the year, we'll also do some special programming. In the summer at our summer camp, we have a very robust Chica Power program. And so we had Anat Cohen came out, and it was really interesting. She spent time with these kids, and not only did she inspire them, but she said how much it touched her life to kind of be in a safe place to talk about those challenges. Even today, some of the challenges that she encounters as a female. And so it was really inspiring. And one of the parents recently said that for her daughter, it gave her the courage to continue on and pursue this music, even if she's only 1 or 2 in her ensemble. So Jazz House Kids is starting to see that, and we're starting to see the percentage of girls continuing to play this program grow. But my last comment would be one of our very talented young girls is now a student at Juilliard. And I saw her recently, and she came back to the Jazz House, as many of them do over their holidays. And she said, Melissa, I'm still, one of only 2 girls. And she said, we need more Chica Power. And I just loved that moment, because truthfully, I started that program because of her. And her name is Zoe Abadia, and she's an amazing alto saxophonist. But she was with us in the very beginning when we opened the Jazz House. And I asked her one day, how are you doing, and how does it feel to be the only girl in your ensemble and big band? And she said, it's tough. She didn't hesitate. She gave me that answer immediately. She said, it's hard, and I wish I weren't the only girl. And from that is where Chica Power really began. And so she's a part of it, and to hear her say that many years later, as she's a Juilliard, very sure of herself as a player, she still wants to have other girls in this music. So I think there's a place for all of us to encourage girls and to really create a safe environment, to have instructors who are females, to have our male musicians extend that hand and make it safe. It's hard for anybody who is the only one of a certain group to stand up strong and to tell your story. And I think that's really incumbent upon the jazz community to do more, and that's what Jazz House Kids is doing. First and foremost, Jazz House Kids is a family, and I love the name Jazz House Kids. more and more, and I appreciate it as the years have gone by, because it truly is about creating a family, having a safe house, having that house in a community, and the broader world stage. And there, as with any community, there are so many elements that make it rich and that make it successful. And so I love the number of people who have embraced this community. Beyond the financial support that is needed for any grassroots organization, and quite frankly, any nonprofit, there are so many other things that are happening. And so many of our parents, many of the people that have come across the organization are volunteers. They volunteer. They just help you stuff, mailing. They'll volunteer at our jazz festival. We'll be going out and there'll be chaperones. They'll volunteer with their talent. And so there'll be great writers. There'll be someone who's, many of our tremendous videos is a dad whose son now is at Temple University. And he said, listen, I'm going to give my talent, and has been so helpful in really putting a face on Jazz House. Some of the people are writing for us and giving of their legal services. There are so many areas, and I think the strongest not-for-profits are those that have the biggest base of people who come and help in any way they can. Our parents their families are recipients of our tuition assistance fund. Some 39.6% of the students at Jazz House Kids, are receiving some level of tuition support or private lessons. This is making a difference in so many families today. And they'll come and they'll speak to other parents about, or speak to our larger donor community about what that means. But, one of the most touching moments came to me with a parent who wanted to get involved. It was actually a grandparent of one of our students. We have a significant immigrant population that is growing, and we're really excited about it. And so families who English is a second language, and this was a grandfather. And during our summer jazz workshop, every day he would come with vegetables. This gentleman must have had some huge farm. He lived in Newark, but I swear, the eggplants he would bring me, the tomatoes, the zucchini. I mean, every day he would bring me something from his garden. And I knew this was his way of giving back. They were a family of very limited financial means. But I can't tell you if I've ever seen a family with more love than this man, this grandfather and the grandmother, who would get in their little car and bring their son, who was playing the bass, every single day. And one day we had a concert at one of the local jazz clubs. And all families were to come to the concert. And there was a small price and a minimum at the table to support the club. And I walked outside, or as I was arriving, I see the grandfather and the grandmother sitting in the park. There was one. It's dusk, and it's only going to get dark. And the grandson is inside. And I knew they were out there because they couldn't afford to come in. And so I brought them in and gave them dinner, and they got to see their grandson. But their commitment to their grandson was so strong that they were prepared to sit in a park while he played and grew as a young person. They were going to ensure that this young man had the brightest future possible. Well, the next day, I just got this panoply of vegetables, and we all enjoyed them in the office. But that's what some of the people, and many of the people around the Jazz House, are prepared to give, so their children and their family can really grow and have an incredible bright future. And so that was a really special moment. And that taught me that everybody can give and everybody should give, because everybody is taking and we should all put back. Well, that was a rich lesson. Hi, this is Melissa Walker. For more fabulous videos, go to JazzTimes.com.